All right,
So,
you ready?
all right,
Who's doing the intro? Me or you?
I will. I'm way better at it.
Okay, who do you think was better at doing the intro? Me or him? He said it was me. You heard that? He said it was me.
No. What is up, listeners? Welcome back to Brews with Bruno. I am Father Paul Calla, Vocation Director for the Oblates of the Virgin Mary. I'm here with
Father Jorge, parochial vicar at St. Mary's in Alton, Illinois, and chaplain at Marquette High School, and vocations captain, your right-hand man.
I think you're so special with all those titles.
You know, I just want to feel important once in a while. You know, I'm with the vocations director. What am I? I'm a peasant. I'm Father Jorge. There you go.
I would say you're chopped liver, but there's nothing chopped about you. That's for sure.
True. And I hate liver. So.
Anyway, so today we're gonna dive a little deeper into vocation. Vocation director. He assists me in vocations with a few other men in the order scattered throughout our province here in the United States. But we always talk about, it sounds really corny, but the call. How did you experience the call of Jesus to become a priest? And we talked about this a lot too in the past, like in the house here during when we were seminarians, about how people all the time will come up to a seminarian or to a priest and say, "Oh, Father," or "Oh, seminary, thank you for your sacrifice."
Mm-hmm.
And get it. It's a privilege, it's an honor, it's a grace, all that kind of stuff. But what doesn't get talked about a lot is the obstacles to saying yes to a vocation, which honestly is probably no different than an obstacle or a fear to say yes to getting married. You know, the anxiety and fears that you have with, getting to the altar and saying "I do" to this one person, which is supposed to be for the rest of your life. Same but very different when it comes to saying yes to a priestly and, in our context, a religious vocation. And I think, again, there's a big lie that the devil wants to come in and try to make you feel alone, that like your obstacle, your fear, your reason to say no, for whatever that reason might be, it's just you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you, which is kind of like an authentic sign, I think, of a vocation as well. And listening to the stories of men and reflecting on my own story. But there's always going to be an obstacle. There's always going to be a fear or a lack of trust. Always a reason to say, I want one more sign, kind of like with Gideon in the Old Testament, who is called to be this heroic warrior, this leader of the Israelites. But he keeps asking for a sign. If there's a sign, God, in the morning, this blanket or coat of mine is going to be on the ground and the whole ground's going to be wet, but the coat will not. And then keeps asking for more and more signs. And God keeps granting it to him. I think that's something that every guy does.
Yep.
And probably women do when discerning religious life. So there's always an obstacle to overcome. I think it'd be just an opportunity and cool just for us to each share, what was that one obstacle or that one fear that you experienced in saying yes, and that call to priesthood, to religious life, specifically to the Oblates of the Virgin Mary. And I'll let you go.
Just one obstacle?
You can do more, but I think, it can be short and sweet and take it from there. I'll ask you questions.
Oh, there you go. Look at you. I would say one of the biggest things when I felt that call, I completely ignored it. I felt God. There was a priest who was talking about we need more vocations to the priesthood because he was a pastor at my home parish in Anthony in Long Beach, California. He was just saying I had 4 masses and there's no other parochial vicar. He goes, we just don't have priests, and if you feel called to be a priest, this is your call. So that kind of stirred something, but I just kind of ignored him. Like,
what did it stir?
It stirred like a call. Like at that time, I describe it an uneasiness, because I'm like, nah, he wouldn't call me to be. No, Lord, he wouldn't call me to be a priest. I just didn't take it seriously. But it was like the first moment of realizing that there was something there, at least for me. So I just brushed it off. It's not my thing. Continue doing my thing. Going to college. Studying, majoring in film and TV, doing some internships. It wasn't until later on that did the 10-week spiritual exercises, and during that holy hour, I felt that call again. I was reminded of that call from the priest, and this time it was just you ever feel like when you run, your heart starts to beat really fast. That's what it felt like. My heart was beating fast. I'm like, am I having a heart attack here, or am I just, you know? But that was a fear.
Mm.
First of all, just even saying yes, even acknowledging that this is happening. I found excuses. Um, Eventually,
What was one
um,
of those excuses?
oh, what are my friends gonna say? Like, dude,
What
I
are you
can't.
worried about?
I was young. I was a stupid young adult.
Yeah, how old were you? Like, how old were you that
Mhm.
first time when the priest says, which is good, but that is also, I can't
Yeah,
imagine, like, what did you think when the priest like, oh, we need more priests. I have all these masses, all these parishes. It's
yeah.
like, not a very good promo, dude.
No, it wasn't. But it wasn't. See, the thing with that is, it wasn't obnoxious the way he said it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why maybe kind of felt it, because if he was obnoxious and just kind of complaining about it, then I probably wouldn't have felt that. Um, what was your question again? I'm sorry, I
So
forgot.
how old were
Oh
you?
yeah.
And then
Um,
with that, and then when it came back, you're like, okay, like it's here again.
It was probably like 17.
17.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I was still a high schooler. I was still worried about my grades, or not my grades, my
Yeah, I don't think
popularity.
you'd ever be a person who's ever
No,
worried about your grades.
no, I don't really care about my grades. Uh, Grades are so overrated. Um, but I was just worried about what my friends would say. Like, no, I can't go to the priest. So this is stupid. It's just. Um, and then there are other people who took their faith seriously at that time. I wasn't one of them. So still kept doing what I needed to do, made mistakes in life. And then, like I said, later on, I took the spiritual exercises, and that's when that reminder, it had been years since that call was already there. And the word padre in Spanish kept coming up over and over and over and over again. And I go, padre, which is, for those of you who don't know, Spanish for father. Uh, um, and I was just thinking, no, no, no. God wants me to be a good father to my children. That's what He's calling me to do. So see how I kept finding little excuses here and there, like, no, it's good father to my children. Uh, and eventually, and later on, I felt like, no, I want you for me. That's what God kept telling me. I go, no, 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 no. At that time, I didn't have a good relationship with my own father. So I said, He wants me to reconcile with my own father. That's what the word padre means. But yeah, I need to do that. I need to do that. And eventually, um, long story short, I care a lot what my friends thought. I care a lot what my family would think. I kept it a secret, like the biggest secret of my life. That God was calling me to something else. And it wasn't until one day I was in the confession of my father Ed, and after hearing my confession, he just goes, "Have you ever thought about being a priest? Did that ever cross your mind?" And I just literally went to confession to him, and I go, "No," because I was afraid of saying yes. So I lied to him right after confession, right after getting absolution. I was already lying.
Mental reservation.
Yeah, but like then a few months later, he asked the same question. And I said yes, and he introduced me to the vocation director at that time. Um, but that whole yes, just when I said yes, like yes, it's crossed my mind. Because I was trying to figure it out on my own. Just
Hmm.
me being me, just trying to figure it out on my own. I'm gonna figure the answer out by myself. Because if I say yes to the priest, they're gonna brainwash me and tell me, yeah, you should totally be a priest. Uh, He goes, okay. So when I finally told him, it's kind of like this weight had just lifted off my shoulders when I said, yes, it's crossed my mind. I don't know what to do with it. Got invited to visit the Oblates here in Boston. I came, and another fear of mine was, well, I grew up in California my whole life, Southern California. Boston has real weather. They have 4 seasons here. And I'll be far away from family. I'll be they're in the West Coast in Texas, and I'm in the East Coast. I'll be far away. What if there's an emergency? What if there's this? So all these excuses were still coming up. And it wasn't until I was here in Boston and I was placed on a retreat with our novice master, actually, Father Sean Monahan. And I remember one of those prayer times because at this point I was really open to being called here. Obviously, I was here. There was a transformation along the way with spiritual exercises, with just saying yes. Um, where I told God, I should probably go explore the West Coast. I should probably explore other religious orders because if I become a diocesan priest in LA, I'll be close to family. If there's an emergency, maybe if another religious order who's in the West Coast, because, Lord, I feel at home here, and yet I still want to explore other orders just in case. But then I asked that very honest question. I said, Lord, do you really want me here? Is this where you really want me here? Do you really want me here in Boston with the Oblates? And then his answer I just felt it. Like the Holy Spirit was saying, it's as clear as my love for you. And then that desire to explore other orders, to go explore diocesan life just kind of just went away.
How did you know
Hmm.
that was the Holy Spirit saying, it's as clear as my love for you?
One, because I wouldn't say that to myself. Not at least not at that time, It's like, Lord, it's as clear as my love
What would
for
you
you.
have said here? Oh, it's a very like poetic.
I'm not very poetic. I would just say, dude, just get over it, dude. Just freaking do it.
Yeah, be a man.
Yeah, be a man. But just those words that just I know for a fact just came out of nowhere, and it brought a lot of consolation and even tears. Just like, oh, that was such a beautiful answer.
Cry, baby.
I know. And it just really confirmed, and that curiosity, that stress, that desire to look at other orders, to start, to entrust my family to the maternal hands of Mary, and that she'll be interceding for them if I ever left California. All of it just kind of just came swooping in right there, and there was an invitation to trust. There wasn't 100% certainty, but there was definitely trust. So I had to take that leap of faith and just say, okay, let's do this. And years later, I'm here
Yeah,
now.
what year was this? Like, what year was it that you started taking it seriously? Like we call it
20,
discernment,
yeah.
and came here to visit.
I came here in 2014, I believe.
I don't remember you visiting at all.
Yeah. You don't?
No.
Wow. What 2014 were
You're
you?
forgettable is basically what I'm saying.
And look at us now. What were you a novice? It was
2014. So it's kind of secluded from everyone, thank God. So
yeah, it was you and these two other guys. Yeah, so Father Leland, that was his first year as a seminarian, I think, 2014. Joel was here. I remember Joel.
Joel, happy memory.
Yeah. That was his first year here. I forget what year that was. It might have been
2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I came 14. Then I came back. Just to really make sure this was God was calling me. But, we always say, what's the sign? I kept asking for more signs. Like, Lord, okay, now that you set this, give me another sign.
Mm-hmm.
But there really wasn't another sign. I mean, yes, I talked to my my spiritual director at that time. He goes, it sounds to me like he gave it to you when he said it's as clear as my love for you. What more do you need? Um, so I had to trust that. And to this day, and looking back on it, yeah, that was the right answer. And there's been a lot of joy being an oblate of the Virgin Mary, a religious and as a priest. But what about you? I mean, we've heard your vocation story, but you're kind of, what was your obstacle?
Well, right now
You're thinking,
I'm like you on my commercial break, as you say. Father Jorge's famous for always. I'm sorry, would you say I was a commercial?
Yep.
So I'm trying to think. There's like a song called Signs or something. Sorry, right? Like, but I know it's not. Cause then I have TLC or something. Or the song "Say My Name" in my head right now. So yeah, that's my commercial break right now. I'm trying to think of a song.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I think my story's been told a lot, but never kind of gone too much into the obstacles part of it. I think there wasn't like the obstacle, kind of just a series of obstacles to overcome. Each one felt like a major one in the moment. And maybe like the word excuse could be inserted with the word obstacle. But yeah, I think like the first one, obviously, when the call, I can't stand saying that, but it came, it was, someone else, choose someone else. Why would you want to choose me? Yeah, we have talked, or we'll talk about Christian friendship at some point, but yeah, there's several years in my life where Jesus was not a friend. He wasn't anyway. He wasn't top 3. He wasn't even probably on the list. So, and I remember being like probably 22, 23 years old. I was already a nurse. Like I'm working as a nurse. I have a career making, at that time, like bank money,
Mhm.
um, driving an awesome car and still going out a lot and living the party life and think like, why would I ever change this?
Yeah, it's
Like this
fun.
is
It's
never,
fun.
I'm never going to stop this life. This is awesome. Now I'd rather die than go back to that. But, so that was just yeah, why? Like, Lord, like you've seen me, you know it all. Um, they say like unworthiness,
Mhm.
choose someone else.
Yeah.
Uh, and then it morphed into when it would come back, like God left me alone for a while. This is like 2011, probably. He left me alone, and then it became, look at all the things I've been given,
Mhm.
not been given, but that it was all about me at that
Mhm.
time. Um, and yes, I used to wear a T-shirt that said "I heart me." That's so sad and embarrassing and ridiculous. But anyway, um, yeah, again, I had a lot of nice things.
Mhm.
I had a lot of nice things. I was living a very comfortable life materially and things like that. Um, but then also too, like looking at like, well, I don't, I worked hard for this career and I put a lot of studying in. Um, I had a lot of good hobbies at the time. It's like, I f- can't say yes to priesthood, can't say yes to religious life because then
Mhm.
I'm not going to have any of this.
Yeah.
Um, like you, it was, what are people going to think? Not so much like friends at that time.
Mhm.
Um, but more so of, coming from a small town.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, part of my story was then living back in my town for a year before I entered here in 2013. And I was so nervous about, what was those first month or two going to be like, because I've been gone for 7 years, 8 years,
Mhm.
college, working in St. Louis. And everyone's going to see me like not just visiting my mom for a day or staying for, a few nights because it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm going to be here permanently, for like maybe a year. And so, like, why are you back here? What are
Mhm.
you doing here? And so I think I was nervous about the chatter, the small town gossip
Yeah.
that comes with that, which that was, there's obviously some of that of, why would you want to do that?
Mhm.
Like, and many, many questions. But then there's also just a lot of support with that. Um, so I think that was a big part, like the fear of the obstacle of what are others going to think as well. And then honestly, the part of it was too, I remember for the first time looking up the Oblates, looking at their website at the time and seeing the guys, dressed like we are, having the habit on, the cassock on. And it's like, I don't know, like that's a pretty clear statement that you
Mhm.
uh, are a priest, that you're in religious life, and that you're dedicating your life to God.
Yeah.
Um, again, I think that I had this thought and image like, what are people going to say about me?
Yeah.
And essentially, like, what's my reputation going to
Mhm.
be? So those were definitely, I think, the big ones, like the unworthiness. Lord, you can't use me. Why would you want to use me? All the material things that I had possessed and accumulated in my
Mhm.
life, the fear of others' thoughts and opinions of me. And then lastly, there, like, if I say yes, like everyone's gonna know. Like
Yeah.
it's not like you can't sit on the fence,
Yeah.
you know? So
Did you have, like, an aha moment, like,
I was gonna
this is
ask you
it?
that, like, yeah, like what was the aha, like,
Mhm.
I think with every obstacle, um, is a great grace.
Mhm.
And so again, like I don't think it was necessarily like one grace or one aha moment.
Mhm.
Um, I think pretty much from the very beginning when I said, I had all these excuses, like the Lord just softened my heart,
Yeah.
you know, uh, to where the obstacles weren't obstacles anymore.
Mhm.
And, as I've said before, I'll say it again. I think one morning I just woke up, and for whatever reason, that morning, it was probably like April of 2012. Dude, I can't. It's been so long ago. I'm gonna be 40 years old, so my memory's going. Um, the desire for the
Mhm.
priesthood was there. And I remember it specifically because I was driving to work as well. I had to get up and I was working full time nights, but for some reason I was working a day shift. I don't know why. Or maybe I wasn't working. I don't know. It was daylight when I went to work.
Mhm.
Let's just say that for the next 12 to 14 hours of my life. And I think for a while I'd been like praying the rosary on the way to work.
Mhm.
And I was like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
Even though I go to church.
Mhm.
I think the desire was there and it didn't go away.
Mhm.
And I realized nothing else was really important.
Yeah.
And it was not like I didn't have this distaste for working anymore. Like I think my job was normal, like normal people have work. Like there's great moments. There's moments when I didn't want to walk through the doors of the ICU
Mhm.
and other things, but it wasn't ever like I hate my job. I never hated my job. But yet I had already been getting this sense, just this internal sense that there's something more for me. And I just remember that day, like that when that desire for the priesthood to actually say yes to it came. And then ultimately with the religious life and the oblates, I kind of like walking through those doors. I was like, yeah, I'm not supposed to be here.
Mhm.
I'm not supposed to be here. So, I mean, yeah, that's God. It's the Holy Spirit, of course, probably our
Mhm.
Blessed Mother as well. I can't really like pinpoint what it was exactly. It was just kind of everything,
Yeah.
everything.
Mm. I think for me, I did. Well, I guess the big aha moment was when God said, "It just clears my love for you." Um, I would say that's a pretty big moment that confirmed that, okay, I'm calling you to be here. But at the time where I was going to be a priest or not, that was kind of up in the air. But I would say there was little moments that led to that big moment, so to speak. The little yeses that I had to say
Yeah.
throughout, living as a layperson. One of the things it started so small, the spiritual exercises, and I'm like, oh, holy hour, that sounds too much. I'll just pray 20 minutes, and then eventually I started getting used to that. Then I threw in like 5 minutes more just for extra
Mhm.
credit. Eventually, I started going for the Blessed Sacrament, doing my holy hour there. So that kept changing because at St. Peter's Chanel, we would offer throughout the day adorations. I just had time to go, or even in our parish, if I had no time to get to St. Peter's Chanel, I just drive over to our parish, pray there, just in silence. Started journaling. I'm like, what the heck, journaling?
It's probably the most essays you've ever written in your
Yeah,
life, even in
probably.
seminary.
Yes, exactly. It's some good stuff in there.
And that was even, imagine if you had like ChatGPT AI back then.
Oh, it would make life so much easier. No, ChatGPT is terrible. But it's terrible for homily. For everything else, I don't know. I tried. Never mind. That's a different
All
story.
right, stay on
Uh,
topic.
it's just started journaling, which is weird because I've never journaled before. I always kind of saw it as a girly thing, like oh, girls and
You
their
ever journal in
diaries.
Spanish?
No, I've always done English. Never journal in Spanish. So I'll let you read my journal one day. Uh,
Mm, burn it.
um, started journaling. And then all of a sudden I would go Sunday mass. All of a sudden I started attending mass one day a week, and then it just became a daily mass attendance. So it's just things like that. We would pray like you. We would pray the rosary. I would pray as a community though.
Hmm.
Praying on my own was definitely a growing area for me. But eventually I got there. Um, it was just all those moments, all those little yeses that I had to give to God that just led to that big aha moment. But then after that aha moment, there came more yeses.
Yeah.
Telling people that I wanted to be a priest, that I was praying about this, that started helping out more at St. Peter's Chanel, started spiritual direction, one of our oblate priests. Um, so that yes deepened, and then eventually it led me to join seminary in
My mic was killing me.
2016. It led me to join the seminary in 2016 along with Father Jonathan, who I had no idea who he was at that moment because he's from Minnesota. But yeah,
God's so
small.
pushy, isn't he?
He is.
It's a total lie, but like
No, you know what?
it's like Mean Girls when Miss Norbury wants what Lindsay Lohan's character to join the math club or whatever, and she gets mad at her. Lindsay gets mad. She's like, she's so pushy. She's so pushy. Da, da, da. It's like God's so pushy, isn't he?
You don't strike me as a Mean Girls kind of priest, but here you are talking about Mean Girls. Is that how you live your
I don't
life?
know, dude. You gotta enjoy life. You gotta have fun. You gotta be normal. But
Yeah.
as you're talking, um, I was thinking of another huge thing is always like just speaking about it. You know,
Yeah.
like you have to at some point open up and talk about it. And for me, that was very important. I didn't have to open up actually for me. The very first person who found out was my cousin Ethan. We're in the gym. Like we're in the gym. We're in a 4 month cut to do a bodybuilding show together.
Mhm.
And I was struggling. Been struggling actually for probably like a few weeks with the workouts and all that because there's this desire to be a priest, desire to be religious, and
Mhm.
I'm realizing like all this stuff is irrelevant. Like lifting weights at that time, like going on a stage to have others look at me and like building up my opinion of who I am and how great I am based on the opinions of others who don't even know me, like this is worthless.
Mhm.
And so we're like at the end of our workout, we're on the treadmills, and he's like, "What's going on with you?" I was like, "Man, I'm just struggling. Like I really don't want to be here, etc." Um, I'm just questioning a lot of things in life. And he's the one who actually said, like, "You want to be a priest, don't you?"
Mhm.
And then I was like, dang, wanted to hit zero on the
Mhm.
treadmill and get off of there. But I was like, yeah, like you're right. So I didn't have to bring it up. But then I think speaking to many people about it, I think the next people that I actually talked to was a few priests that I knew. And then the first family member I told was my older sister, Katie.
Mm.
And when I told her, I think they just had their first kid. And so or maybe they had two. I don't remember how many kids they had, but I just remember my brother-in-law, her husband Brian, was off work, and I was talking to her, and he was there. And I guess like when I left, he was like, "I've never thought of that one day in my life." So I think uh, knowing that, just talking about it, then like
Mhm.
hearing his comment too of how he never like did something special, it's unique.
Mhm.
Was very helpful to bring it to the light, to not let myself or Satan discourage me anymore. Well, it was huge as well. So talking
Mhm.
about it was very helpful.
Yeah, you were talking about you know, working on bodybuilding. You said, what did you say? It was worthless, or what did you say? I forget how you phrase it. Um,
I just thought it was irrelevant.
Irrelevant. Yes, there you go. One of the things that I saw was, at least in my own life, is I used to intern for this late night TV show. It was a lot of fun. So I could just see people, building the set and like kind of rearranging the set, and they get so excited, they work so hard, and then I'd be done for the day, walk out, and I see set pieces in the dumpster. I go, huh, that's so weird. It's just all vapor. It's just for a show. You get it on camera.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then it just disappears. Like, I don't want this. I
Mm.
don't want to be like that. Work hard for, you know, building sets, which again, movies, I love making movies. I love the stress that comes with it, but it's all vapor. That's how I describe it. Just vapor. It's just eventually it's just, it all fades and you're just left with vapor.
It's all going in the trash.
It's all going
It's
to the
all going in the
trash.
trash.
hmm
Okay, so real quickly to close out, um, what would your one piece of advice be to anyone who's discerning a vocation, and let's say the context of priesthood, religious life, to overcome an obstacle or fear that he or she is experiencing?
I think, I think one of the biggest things is just to talk about it. Talk to someone that you trust. I think you and I just kind of talking, when I talked about it with the priest, it just kind of like this weight lifted off my shoulders. It didn't solve the problem, but it made it easier. I wouldn't say a problem, it just didn't solve my vocation, but it does make it easier. And you kind of said the same thing talking to your cousin. I'm assuming it made it a little bit easier. At least it was kind of already out in the light, as you said.
Yeah.
Uh, just talk to someone, but don't overthink it. I always give this advice: three things: pray about it, think about it, act on it. Don't stay in the
PTA.
PTA. Yes, don't stay in the thinking part, because um, your fear is, and I think the biggest fear that most people have, the biggest obstacle is, I'm going to make a mistake. And I always tell people, well, and I said this at another podcast, that God is like a Google Maps. He will, if you take the wrong route, he will redirect you. Just trust that God will redirect you, even if you choose the wrong vocation. You just have to
Mm,
act on it. Don't be a perpetual discerner.
yeah, just make sure you haven't used all your data.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. You're talking about religious and everything. Visit a community. Reach out to your local vocation director or the religious community that you're interested in. Visit them, get some data, and then pray about it.
PTA, pray, think,
PTA.
act. I like that. Isn't that like, don't you parents have to do those things still? Because like PTA meetings, do you have to do that? Yeah, PTA, pray, think, act.
Hmm.
Sweet. I would say to wrap it up, I'm big on trying to find the good in even in what the bad might be.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it's always an authentic sign of a vocation that there's something that you at least need to explore, pray about, talk about,
Right.
discern it, because that's a big word today, discern,
Hmm.
is if there's a fear, an obstacle, good, because Jesus wanted to do something great in life,
Yeah.
whether it means you enter a community, you enter with the diocese, or you realize, hey, like that's all great, I'm open to it, but God wants me to become holier and get to heaven one day by having a wife, having children, and finding holiness in the 9 to 5. Like
Hmm.
that's just as good, if not better, as well.
Yeah.
And so finding the good in it, because Christ is there. He is
Amen.
good. So anyway, that's just a little bit of our stories. I think important to touch on obstacles and fears. One, I think to help us to like reaffirm our call, our
Yeah.
vocation, of why we're sitting here today, and then maybe to, give more insight into who we are as priests, religious as men, but then also maybe to, if there's someone out there, if anyone listens to this, uh, it might be where we were 10, 15 years ago. Like
Yeah.
you're not alone. So pray, think, act, and find the good.
Amen.
And as always, I'm Father Paul.
I'm Father Jorge.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Come back again.